Alright, so today's video is going to be a little bit of fun because it's been quite some time since we last roasted some, you guessed it, luxury handbags. Now I've done this kind of video a couple of times in the past, and each time I've posted them just for fun, you all seem to really love it. So seeing as though it's been a while since we last did one, I thought we'd bring it back because, you know, it's not all the time that I'm going to be on here unboxing or reviewing a bag. We don't do wild consumerism here on this channel. We're discerning buyers, so what better way to save that money than on trendy and overhyped bags that I will never jump on the bandwagon for and spend that coin. Let's get into the 10 bags that I have. Of course, I will do the obligatory disclaimer because we are in 2023. So of course, these are my own opinions, and if you have differing opinions, that is within your gift, that is within your right to do. And of course, if I talk about a bag that is not super favorable to you, that does not reflect upon you. I know I shouldn't have to say this, but some people get a little bit too up in their feelings. In terms of the bags themselves, so I have them on my trusty little iPad here. I've got them in order that I'll be talking through them, and I've tried not to, and I'm pretty sure I haven't actually double counted any bags that I've talked about in any of the other roast kind of videos that I've done before, so that it's not repetitive. Let's get started with the 10 bags, the first of which is starting near the top of the alphabet with Bottega Veneta, one of the hottest brands of the moment. And I actually have two bags from their recent, I suppose, collections. Bottega for me is not a brand that I really have looked into. I personally never really saw the hype, I'm sorry, but I just see miles into the future, years into the future, and I just know that this is gonna be, sorry to say it, bargain bin bag. And I don't think this bag is any exception, and it is none other than the Bottega Veneta small cassette bag. This is the small cassette bag that I've got here. It's the most popular size. I know they do different sizes. See, it is basically all made up of this interwoven basket weave style, and it's a very basic looking bag. Pretty much one of the main gripes that I have of this particular bag, because let's be honest, when you're buying a designer or luxury handbag, you expect a little something wow. It's giving straw basket weave, but with a heavily inflated price point. It just looks very plain. There's nothing going on with it. There's no pockets that I can see because it's all made of different leather woven pieces here, and I know a lot of people do emphasize the quality aspects of the Bottega leather, of the craftsmanship as well. You know, for me, it's not about the amount of leather I do pay for, I suppose, in a way. The brand, yes, let's admit it, say it for what it is, and a lot of their bags that were really big have since gone out of style, so I'd be very curious to see what happens to the cassette. For that kind of price point, you could be getting something from the likes of Saint Laurent, or you could get something from Fendi or Prada, or even, you know, Chanel or whatnot. If you go on resale, or if you get something a little bit smaller, or even a, you know, towards mini, I would even save up for that because it's a more classic silhouette. I find this would be hard to style, and I know they have lots of different fun colors, one of which, and I think some of these colors, yes, they're a little bit different, but they're a little bit too out there. And this one is, what is it called? Travertine, and it looks like a mixture of a murky beige and also green tinge. Not the most flattering colour, but then you've got, you know, your classics, you've got your black, your white, and it looks a little bit dirty and off-white, so that's not great. And then you've got your parakeet, which is bright green. I know that Bottega green is obviously very big. Not my favourite. Shouldn't cost this amount of money. Even if there is so much leather, there is not that much special, not wow at all. And I just think it's going to be out just as quickly as when it came into our lives. Now for the next Bottega bag, and I'm sure a lot of people will know the name on my lips right about now, and that is the Jody bag. And I've got it actually in a cute colour. I think they have a lot of colours actually to choose from. Obviously you've got the classic green that we just talked about, the parakeet, and then, you know, if I just cycle through some random ones, you've got this brown, this caramel. Then obviously you've got classic black, taupe grey. They do have some new candy colours, which I do love the colours, but just not necessarily on this bag, because it is, again, another trend-driven bag. It is also something that has been really pushed on social media. I think you will notice a theme with a lot of these bags. And look, I think this is a little bit more creative than the cassette bag that I just showed you, but it's also highly impractical, primarily because of the knotting detail. I think that is a great little twist. I think that is quite creative. And look, I'm not going to deny again the craftsmanship. It's a cute diddy little size. But I do think, with that being said, it is a very impractical bag. I've seen a lot of people review this bag. They barely use it because the zip is apparently really, really hard to get in and out of, especially given the distance from the zip access to the actual top handle itself. People have complained about that. They complain that the zip is sticky as well. People also complain because of the crescent moon shape that they can't get a lot of their belongings in, so it's not exactly the most functional bag, even if it does kind of look cute. I just think this crescent moon shape, which is very, very in right now, I think the Jody was one of the first, and you've obviously got the Chanel bags that copied, even the Prada Clio, I believe. You've got a lot of these crescent moon shapes. I think even the Louis Vuitton Loop bag follows a similar silhouette, and while they look cool, I think that they are not very practical because you can't get certain belongings in with this crescent shape. Also, you'd have to only be able to wear this top handle, or maybe you could just squeeze a little crook of the arm in there. And also the fact that you just see the Instagram bloggers and stylists wearing it, a few celebrities that have been, I'm sure, endorsing the brand at the moment. I don't see people out and about wearing this. That looks great for a photo, but realistically, we are not in London Fashion Week every day, okay? Now let's change gears and move to my all-time favorite luxury fashion house, and that is Chanel, because no luxury handbag rose would be complete or fair without including Chanel. At least for this video, and not counting any duplicates I've talked about before, I will be talking about the mini vanity. Now, the mini vanity is, I suppose, a broad category, right, of Chanel bags which are under this style, because these bags fit anything but your phone, which I personally believe is the minimum requirement for a luxury handbag, especially if we're talking price tags of upwards of £2,000-3,000. So this one that I have, it's not the bag that I would have chosen for this video, but my internet is blocking the Chanel website at the moment, and so without toggling off the website and losing this page forever, and the accurate pricing, of course, I would just use this pink one. Obviously, there are so many more. You all know those ones, right? So use your imagination here, right? Or go to the website yourself, or on your feed for that matter. I know it's probably tongue-in-cheek and very cute. We all love miniature stuff, but I just don't get it. It is just not practical. And this bag is a prime example. I mean, what are you realistically going to be fitting in here? A couple of coins, an AirPod case. My gripes are mainly to do with the practicality. I don't buy bags just to put on my shelf or to have a glorified gum holder or AirPods holder. These bags are too expensive to warrant that kind of tomfoolery, okay? Especially not for this price point here. This clutch with chain. This is not a clutch. A clutch implies you can actually hold it and hold your belongings inside. You will not be holding anything but an empty bag in here, maybe some Tic Tacs. Because everybody is wearing these for their photos, but literally nobody is wearing them actually out and about. In real life, I never see this out. I only see classic flaps because it's quite comical. It looks really silly in my opinion. What on earth are you using this tiny bag for other than to potentially display? I mean, you do you, boo. Everybody is entitled to use their money how they like, and if it brings you joy and happiness, then all power to you. But I personally, you know, we have only finite amount of money, people, to spend on things that last and are quality. And I just think you're going to use this twice, and then once small bags are out and the big bags coming back in, because we're seeing that happening right about now, it's a cyclical thing, then they're just going to be gathering dust. And also, we know the quality of Chanel vanities, or SLGs, I suppose, in this realm, are really bad. So many videos that I've seen on YouTube saying how bad the quality is. These zips are wonky. It almost looks like fake bags. So actually, you think you're saving money potentially by getting a Chanel bag for less than 3K, but in reality, you're spending more for a bag basically that is useless. Now let's move on to our next brand, which is also highly coveted amongst a lot of people. So I'm not sure if this will be controversial, but it is Dior. And I'm going to be talking about the newly released Dior D Joy bag. Now this one is in a very shiny patent leather. They do make the normal, I think, aged calf skin. And, you know, I'm by no means somebody who shops at Dior very often, apart from basically the Dior Mitza, which I use to emblazon all of my top handle bags. And I do love the Mitzas, and I do have a lot of respect for the fashion house, for the heritage, especially for the Lady Dior bag. I feel like the D Joy, and one of the biggest reasons that I don't like it is they've done Diana dirty because it looks like an unfinished bag. At least to me, it looks like it's been cut off. And I don't think I'd maybe have that reaction if this bag was released without that Lady Dior silhouette being known to us. I think the fact that it's in my mind makes me want to kind of draw an outline here of the rest of the bag. It just looks like there's something missing. Something is off. And I know they are probably just milking the cash cow that was the Lady Dior. They're probably trying to appeal to a younger audience. And this is, you know, a new modern twist on a very elegant and long-standing bag. Maybe a new design, or I'm sure you could have reimagined this in a different way, which is not this wide shape because, and I do feel like it is cheapening the Lady Dior, which is obviously a very classic bag. And again, very big social media push. A lot of people got it as freebies in the influencer and celebrity game. And so that naturally just makes me think that the intrigue is very conceited and it's not genuine. So that is something that really puts me off this bag. And I just think there was better ways to take inspiration from the Lady Dior, which is obviously the most successful bag, right? They keep releasing seasonal bags that, let's be honest, go and fade out and ride off into the sunset and no one hears from them again. So I understand the rationale, but I think they could have done it a little bit better. I love what they've done, for example, with the D Light, I think that's what it's called. And it's made of fabrics, or it's got like beautiful embroidery on it. I think that is a great way to pay homage to the Lady Dior. But I do think that this is not it. Now let's move on to F for Fendi. And I have the very coveted Fendi First Clutch, but I just don't really get it, and the animation's just going itself. In the past few months, this has appeared many times on my feed, and I just personally think it is so wildly gaudy and impractical. And look, I'm not knocking the fact that, you know, some people like the gaudiness, okay? Some people don't mind the impracticality of carrying something in the crook of your arm. I personally think for spending £2,550, which is a hefty price tag, even by today's standards, this is not enough utility for me to be able to comfortably fork out that money, especially when a baguette, I think, also from Fendi, which is a very classic bag, and one that I have considered. I even bought one. I'd much rather get a baguette because the Fendi First is also incredibly trend driven, and I don't think we're going to be seeing a lot of people with this in the next few months or year. It's for an evening event, or, you know, something where you're probably posing for a camera, right? Because who's going out and about doing their shopping, their groceries with a clutch bag? And look, I know haters are going to come for me and say, oh, you know, Mel, it's some very multifunctional bag, whatever. Not doubting that, but you're getting the Fendi First clutch. So its primary use is a clutch, that even as a clutch, call me old fashioned, but I think it is too big and too casual looking for evening events, especially with the slouchiness of it. I mean, even with the other colours that you're seeing here, I mean, would you really go to your evening event and bring one of these out? I don't know. It would be hard to style. But then, on the flip side of that, it's almost too small and too formal for a daytime wear because of the flashy hardware, and I suppose also the fact that it cannot fit that much inside for day to day, you know, on the go, especially because this weird shape, because the F goes upwards, so you're gonna have to Tetris all your things in for every day. And personally, I just think with a big F on here, I mean, it just looks a little bit out of place. And I do think Fendi has done a better job of emblazoning their logos, their monogram, in more tasteful ways that work. It just looks like a little bit of a mishmash. And I know that's probably the effect they were going for, but it's not for me, okay? Now let's move further on into the alphabet, and I actually have two bags from this brand that I'm sure will ruffle a few feathers out there in the community, because it is none other than Hermes. Now, I have a lot of bags that honestly I would have decorated this list with, because I find a lot of their Birkin bait bags, we all know the ones, okay? Let's be honest with ourselves. No one really wanted those bags to start with, because if they weren't the bait to get what we really wanted, when I say we, the royal we, because I have no interest in getting those bags, you're only really getting these bags if you want to actually be offered in the future a Birkin, Kelly, or a Constance. Some people I know are going to say, no, Mel, I like this shape, but when I talk you through these bags and show you them, really squint and take a moment to really think about whether that's actually the bag that you wanted over the Birkin, the Kelly, or the Constance. I'm not really sure which is the worst of the two. You're going to have to tell me. But this is the Hermes Evelyn bag. Where do I even start? I mean, first of all, can I just draw our attention to the fact that this bag is in the same fashion house as the iconic, even if I don't necessarily like them or want them, they are iconic, I cannot deny, and classic silhouette. These are miles apart in my opinion. I mean, it's like a weird little satchel, or I know this bag was made in the shape or an homage to the horse feeders, but when I'm looking for a luxury bag, yeah, I'm not looking to get a horse feeder bag. And look, if you're buying this bag as a bougie horse feeder for your competition horse, all the power to you. I think this just looks a little bit comical to be spending. I mean, I'm on a resale website right now because obviously Hermes is not publicizing the prices of these bags. Even these Birkin-Bait bags are coveted now. They have managed to do that kind of social media trickery on us, but it's going for 3,000 euros pretty much. So what, like 2,800 or 900 pounds? I think that's ridiculous for this bag. I think the little button slip fastening, whatever that is an abomination. I think the shape of it, the U shape, is just very strange. The depth of it looks very strange. I think maybe they made it shorter. It might look nicer. It might even look like similar to the Prada Re-Edition style. And I think the perforation is the biggest abomination of them all. I think it looks really, really cheap. Why couldn't they put a little H here in the clasp? I think that would have made it look a little bit better. I think that the hook and loop thing, I don't know why it's attachable. Why would you want to wear that as a clasp? It doesn't look very nice. And maybe, you know, if you change the strap, because I think the strap is really basic and rubbish looking, to be quite honest with you, I think maybe that would look better. But I just think, especially in this poop colour, it just does not look nice. And I just cannot imagine who's wearing this bag, especially in this poop colour, out with pride, and honestly is going to be in a position to convince me that they wanted this bag more than a Birkin, a Kelly or a Constance. It's really cruel, I think, to use these kinds of bags as Birkin bait, because people will buy them. They will feel compelled to buy them for peer pressure or for fear of not being included on any other wish lists or whatnot. But if this is what it takes to buy one of those coveted bags, and you need to buy a few of these things, right, then I would say it's actually more expensive than if you just went to the resale market or even to Japan, as I've talked about in other videos from my shopping there. Buy those and it will save you that money. Because honestly, when I see people wearing this bag and also the bag that I'm about to show you, it's my next bag, I just think everybody knows that you only bought this bag for one of two reasons, predominantly, okay? One is because you are getting this Birkin bait to be offered the coveted aforementioned bags. Number two is because you cannot afford to get the other ones and that's all they offered you. Obviously there's a third option, that you really love this bag, but honestly, this is not a great bag. Love that for you, but not for me. And now let's move on to the other bag, and it is the Hermes Lindy bag. And this bag, for some reason, a lot of people also really love, but I find it to be probably the weirder of the two that I've showed you, because there's just so much going on that we have to talk about, and I just would love to know the story behind this. You know, I'm sure I could look it up, but I've got a lot of bags to go through and I've got a lot of things to do in my life, okay, so I can't just be all in the detail. But like, we have this crazy clasp, okay, these sangles, I think that's what they're also called here, they're sagging. Everything about this bag is sagging. It looks really sad. I don't really know what they're fastening, because then there's also a zip attached to the back. Let's see if we can get, oops, another photo. Yeah, the zip goes all the way, so it's kind of lunchbox style. So why you needed the sangles in the first place, apart from the decoration, of course, is beyond me. So it's a bit impractical to get in and out of. Then you've got the kind of opposite-ended bag handles, which is just strange to look at the eye. It looks like a Rubik's Cube that hasn't been twisted the right way round, and it just looks really bizarre when worn, because then there's another handle that attaches to it over the top, which I don't really understand, because surely you'd put your arms through those two there. But because it's the odd way round, I suppose we needed another handle, which completely defeats the point of a handbag. Do you think that looks a little bit strange? Is that really just me? And then you've also, aside from the handles mess of it all, you've got the sagginess overall. I think it looks very deflated. It looks really strange. It almost looks like a melted Birkin or Kelly. And I don't think the handle on the back is detachable as well. No, it looks like it's not detachable as an option. So it just looks very strange. No amount of convincing on socials that you like this bag will convince me that I also should like it. This would make a terrible daily on the go bag because it is so impractical with your 3 million straps, your huge sangles and your zip lunchbox compartment. How are you getting your stuff in and out? I mean, so many questions, so little answers, and I'm just not convinced that this is a bag that anyone really wanted to start with. Now moving swiftly on to our next brand, and this is Jacquemus, and we've talked about Jacquemus here on this channel. I'm not really the biggest fan of them. I always find them to be super trendy, and look, they're a lower price point, they're more approachable, and they, I guess, do have good quality items from the reviews that I've seen. But this new bag, I just don't get it. I mean, we talked about the Chiquito before and how comical that is. This new one that's come out, which is called the La Pochette Ronde Carré, is just so strange to me, and this is really getting pushed. The only way I can describe this bag, I suppose on first glance, is a shower rail and curtain. You've got the ball end here and then the square end here, you know, when you attach it. It's got a lunchbox vibe where you roll it with the shower curtain rail, and then you've got the shiny and clashing hardwares as well, mixed hardwares, might I add, of the silver metallic and also the gold. And I believe this is the only colorway combination that they have in this particular bag. I'm very curious how you open it. I think it is an unroll and roll moment. It's got magnets here, so it must be the case. And it's giving me a little bit of Stella McCartney Falabella vibes, if you know. It's kind of like that slouchy vibe. And I feel like it looks cheap. I'm sorry, I'm just going to say that. It looks cheap. And for £730, that is not a cheap bag for something like this. There are no more colours that I can see, and it is actually on wait list. So either that's a social media tactic, or there are a lot of people that want to look like plumbers or something. But in all seriousness, I think it's just a grand waste of money for a trend. Now let's move on to our next brand, and this one might be controversial because lots of people love and covet this brand and this particular bag, and this is the Loave puzzle bag. A lot of people love this bag so much, and especially given the puzzle bag being discontinued in favor of, I believe it's called the Puzzle Edge. Even if I don't personally like the bag, it has had staying power and a lot of people do love it, not just for, I suppose, the style, the multifunctional nature of it, but also it's a good price point in comparison to a lot of other fashion houses. I mean, I can get the appeal in terms of the multifaceted ways to wear. You've got multiple options with a top handle, you've got a crossbody that's removable and adjustable and all that business. But for me, I just don't like slouchy bags. I don't like bags which have too many things going on. It's almost giving me Lindy vibes because of, you've got a flap here that you probably have to zip open and whatnot. You've got too many handles going on. The proportions just seem a little bit off to me. The zip doesn't seem very practical to get in and out of. And look, I know that is the style, so, you know, don't come at me for that. But I personally just think there are better, more functional bags that I have in my collection, or that I would want to add to my collection, than this one. And the Edge is no different to my knowledge. And for £2,400, there are better bags, I feel, at this price point, even with inflation and even with all the price increases, but especially in this poop colour. I mean, this is the one that everybody wants, but I just found this kind of orangey tan to be very hard to style. And now I think we are on to our final bag of the list. And I promise you, this is I've saved the best till last, okay? Because this one, everybody is going on about, and I just think this is the worst offender because it's so boring, it's so basic. And this is the Extra Pocket Pouch by Loro Piana, the quiet luxury brand that everybody is going on about right about now. I mean, this one's in ostrich, so there's a little bit more something going on. But let's be honest, this bag, which is basically a vanity bag with minimal, you know, if not no logos or any identifiable factors. Let me actually go to the normal leather style. So this is the plain and OG version, I suppose. I mean, just look at it. Look at that. That is so boring. Would you even know this is a luxury branded bag? And let's be honest. Some people might say, that is the vibe that I'm going for, Mel. That is the quiet luxury, old money aesthetic, self-wealth that I'm going for. But you didn't need to pay $2,500 for this bag. I mean, I can literally, I'm shopping on Temu these days. It's the trend, I suppose, but really it's very good. And I can promise you I can get a bag cheaper, pennies in comparison to this bag. And it will be more interesting looking than this bag right here, if you can call it a bag, because it just looks like a makeup case that you can even get on like British Airways flights in business class or first class, okay? It looks like it's trying to be a mini Kelly by Hermes, in which case, if you're going for that vibe, especially when it's like this, it looks very similar, it's just missing some sangles. If that's your vibe, go for the mini Kelly, because actually you only need to account for a few more thousands. I say a few more, but if you have the money to be able to spend on a glorified vanity case, I'm sure you have the money to buy a Kelly, mini Kelly, because I guarantee that in a year's time, maybe even less, no one will be wearing this anymore because people will be back to gaudy luxury or something like that. And I know a lot of people like the Sophia Richie Grangers of the world are wearing this bag and making it really popular. We're trying to make fetch happen and it's just not happening. It is so boring. There is nothing going on here. And I think even with the strap, it looks super, super clunky. The description makes me laugh. It's like the minimalist, functional design meets demands of a modern woman. With what exactly? How is this functional? Yes, it's minimal, I'll give you that, but it's impractical even to open the zip. You can't do that one-handed for sure, because you need to unzip both sides. And the most boring of the lot that I've covered, and for that reason, this bag is cancelled, but also you'll never see me wearing it. And with that scathing remark, we end this video and this luxury roast of the 10 overrated bags I just won't buy. But look, at the end of the day, what makes you happy will be different to what makes other people happy. This is just my opinion, and if you have these items and you enjoy them and you get the use out of them, then who am I to judge? And I hope the same goes both ways. But I would love to hear down in the comments below if I have missed any bags. I do hope that you enjoyed this video. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in my next one.